after more than 3 years, I am finally headed back to Baja California Sur. I am so excited. For those of you that are newer around here, I spent 4 incredible years living in Mexico City. But when the pandemic arrived, my lease was just coming up, so it seemed like a good time to get away from the sort of chaos of the big city and head to the coast where things were calmer. I moved over to Todos Santos originally, and while I did love it there, it's an incredibly beautiful part of Baja, it wasn't accessible enough as someone who didn't have a car and had no intention of buying one. So I headed a little bit further south to San Jose del Cabo, where I ended up falling deeply in love and living for much of the rest of that year. While I was there, I also traveled a ton to places like Cabo San Lucas, to the East Cape, Cabo Pulmo, up to Los Barriles and La Ventana, and La Paz, and Loreto, and Mulegé. I will link in the description below to a playlist so that you can watch all of these videos after you've watched this one, of course. After all of these travels, I put all of the things that I learned into this guidebook. It's full of restaurants, hotels, beach recommendations, tour companies, and travel tips that I learned about from meeting locals and other people who live down there. So it's everything that I knew about Baja California Sur, particularly Los Cabos, from my time living there. But 3 years is a long time, especially in a place that's changing as much as Baja California Sur. So I'm really excited to head down there and finally be able to update this guidebook, do the horribly tough research job of trying new restaurants and visiting beaches, exploring new destinations, and sharing it all with you in an updated version of this, which will have maps, I promise, in a few months' time. There will, of course, be new videos for all of the destinations that I visit on this trip, so be sure that you are subscribed if you're not already. But in today's video, I'm going to take you along with me as we travel back to Baja, south of here to Los Cabos Airport, and I'll give you my first impressions of how I feel about it and what it looks like after being away for 3 years. So let's go. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Passport, wallet, keys. Oh, I know. I've been using Safety Wing's Nomad Insurance as my travel medical emergency insurance whenever I travel abroad for almost 3 years now, so I'm super excited to have them as the sponsor of today's video. Let's take a look. The Nomad Insurance covers you in over 180 countries when you're traveling outside of your home country. You can add adventure sports coverage that covers activities like surfing, parachuting, paragliding, and scuba diving, to name a few, which is particularly helpful if you're planning to do some diving while you're here in Baja. You can also add extra coverage to insure your electronics like laptops, tablets, and cameras for up to $1,000 per item, which is a huge relief when I'm traveling with all of my work equipment. If you're planning to move to Mexico and want expat insurance, or you're a digital nomad and you're traveling long-term, you may want to consider Safety Wing's Nomad Health coverage. For as little as $133 per month, you can have full-fledged health insurance, which allows you to get treated at clinics, private doctors, and hospitals in over 175 countries. This coverage is excellent, with wellness therapies and mental health visits included, as well as cancer treatments, physical therapy, and maternity treatments. You can boost your premium to include dental and vision coverage as well. Of course, the price depends on your age and what countries you want to include. If you're planning to travel to Hong Kong, Singapore, or the US, then you'll need to add extra coverage for these countries. You can pay month to month or save some money by paying for the year up front. I'll link below to both the travel medical insurance as well as Nomad Health, the long-term global health insurance, so that you can see the differences between the two and choose the one that's right for you. Now let's get to Baja. I flew with Alaska Airlines from Seattle down to San Jose on a direct flight that took just under 4 hours. Since it's low season, the usual taxi and timeshare salespeople weren't around, which meant a very relaxing exit from the airport and straight to our favorite locally owned car rental company, Cactus. We hopped in our cute little rental, stopped at the supermarket for avocados and chips, and headed to our condo and immediately jumped in the pool. I'll be giving you a full condo tour next week, but for now, you can sneak a peek at this insanely beautiful pool area where we spent the entire first day back in Baja, soaking up the warmth of that Mexican sunshine and cooling off in the pool. One of my biggest concerns about being back in Baja was that it wasn't going to live up to my memories of it, to the nostalgia I had, that feeling that I remembered so fondly of this incredible place that sort of wrapped us in her arms in 2021 when we were looking for a safe place to call home for a little while. I was concerned that I'd get back and it wouldn't be what I had built it up to be in my mind. But luckily I was totally wrong. I think part of what made this trip back so nice was that I went during low season. I went in early September, so it was really quiet. The restaurants were quieter, the beaches were quieter, where there's hardly any traffic. So it held a similar vibe to how it was when I was there in the winter of 2021 and into spring there as well. That comes with it some other good and bad things. The weather, it was fine while I was there, but shortly after I left, they had a tropical storm, tons of rain, and you do take that risk if you go during low season, during the summer and into September and October. But luckily, we missed that weather. But I don't think it was just the lack of tourists and the heat. Baja is as magical as I remember it. Beaches like this are what made me fall in love with Baja. It's just rugged and rough and so beautiful. Oh, so good to be back. It's rugged, it's wild. You have this beautiful combination of being able to be out away from it all, on the edge of the earth, it can feel like, and then in the same day be back in downtown Cabo San Lucas or San Jose del Cabo, and you're surrounded by great restaurants, cool bars, good nightlife, tons of amazing food, and just culture and history and all these other amazing things that make a trip to Mexico such a special thing. So there's absolutely no avoiding the fact that the city is changing a ton. Los Cabos in general is growing. I read in the incredibly accurate, I'm sure well-researched Gringo Gazette that every 7 to 8 years, the population of Los Cabos doubles. It's growing so much. It's currently at about 300,000 residents, and they reckon that by 2040 there will be over 800,000 people living there. And if you've been there before, you know that it's not just growing with foreigners. Of course, that's a large part of what's happening there, but people from all over Mexico move to Los Cabos because the economy is booming there. People can come there and they can have a better life. They can have a safer place for their families, better job prospects. So you'll find people from all over Mexico in Los Cabos. And with that, of course, means that the cost of living, the cost of visiting, the prices there in general have gone up, just as they have gone up the world over. Los Cabos has always been one of the most expensive places in Mexico. When you compare it to somewhere like Michoacan, where I was earlier this year, the prices are at least double for everything, for hotels, for food, for groceries. But Los Cabos and Baja California Sur in general, it's like an island, right? Everything that goes there, everything that you buy there has had to be shipped over on a boat or driven all the way down the peninsula to get there. So it makes sense that the prices in general there are still pretty high. But I believe, and I saw with my own eyes, that it's still possible to get a good deal there. It's still possible to have an affordable vacation in Los Cabos if you are looking in the right areas for hotels, if you are looking at locally owned places to eat, if you are getting off the beaten path a little bit, simply walking away from the hotel zone in either of the towns, you will find so many amazing things, so many amazing places to eat and restaurants and bars and cool tours to explore. So yeah, a trip to Los Cabos doesn't have to be diamond standard pricing. While much of the trip was idyllic, we spent mornings by the pool, had seafood for lunch, went to the beach in the afternoon, trying a different beach out every afternoon, trying different restaurants at night. amazing. It wasn't perfect. We did feel an earthquake on our second night in San Jose del Cabo. Having lived for 4 years in Mexico City, I have experienced more than my fair share, I would say. So I knew what it was when it happened. So yeah, that was interesting. I read that there was another one this past week that people felt in San Jose del Cabo. They didn't feel it in Cabo San Lucas, both of those. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind as you head down there. It's still along that fault line down there, and it's not pleasant. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be sharing videos from San Jose del Cabo, as well as a condo tour of the beautiful condo that I stayed in while I was there, as well as Cabo San Lucas, and a little visit to Todos Santos, all in an effort to update my guidebook. If you're interested in purchasing a copy when it comes out, you can be one of the first to know if you sign up for my email list. I have a link to it in the description below, so be sure that you sign up so that you find out as soon as it's ready. It'll be ready hopefully just for the start of the busy season in November. Maps, recommendations, restaurants, food, hotels, everything that I know about this incredibly beautiful part of Mexico. Thank you as always for being part of this journey. If you have any questions or comments about visiting San Jose, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time.